a multidisciplinary artist with a background in theater and film and a practice that encompasses digital media in various forms. Sometimes concepts crash into you like a train wreck. Other times they appear, more like the warm water of a hot spring. This story has both, literally. When Iceland reopened its borders in May of 2021, my boyfriend and I signed up right away. An active volcano made it impossible to resist. Pandemic, airplane, masks, quarantine, PCR test, no problem, we're there. After doing our first pilgrimage to the Fagradalsfjall volcano, we found ourselves at the Blue Lagoon. It was there that, come on, image.
Yeah, hit the space bar.
Someone touch space bar.
I didn't touch the space bar.
You touch it. Now. Yes.
It was there that this image appeared. And without signing up for it, poor boyfriend became hand model for the rest of the trip. Why is it that artists can't just go on vacation? Every trip, somehow, without planning it, becomes part of a project. In any case, at the time, I was just fascinated by the hands, and the water, and the silica, and was not really thinking of exhibiting this. I took many versions of them. But I wasn't planning on going on a photo trip, so I failed to bring my professional camera and was shooting with my humble iPhone 8. Yes, 8. So you could say this was a sort of study for a project I didn't know I was working on at the time. This is a portrait of my mother when she was in her late 40s. I was about 18, taking my first black and white photo class in college. This was for a portrait assignment. I guess I have been photographing her for a while. In December of 2021, I went to Chile once that country reopened its borders. My mother had been moved to a nursing home 10 days before my arrival, her apartment of 30 years still holding all her belongings intact, frozen in time. My mother has advanced Alzheimer's disease, and that visit home was brutal. When I was finally allowed to visit her in her new home, we sat out in the patio. She was unable to form coherent sentences. After 82 years of life, her brain had relegated her to baby speech once again. She didn't know who was the woman sitting next to her, me. All I wanted was to hold her, but COVID policies forbade it, so I held her hand. A few months later, I was scheduled to be part of a show with an all-white collective. I was then ready to explore these hands I had been documenting as a potential art piece. The aesthetics of the hands in the water and the emotionally charged image of my mother's hand and her fragility all of a sudden spoke to me differently. They said, "Exhibit us." And that was the beginning of the hand series as an intentional photographic work. The month after the Harlem Gallery show, while I was in Colorado, I had the opportunity to retake the hand in water shots, and I added some hands in snow with the better camera. I needed higher res pics as I was gonna go large scale for this one. Back in Chile again, in May of 2022, I focused my attention on my father, an 86-year-old man. I don't think I had ever looked at his hands with any true attention. I was impressed by how beautiful they were and how long and stylized his fingers are. His nails were also impressive to me. They seem so healthy for a man his age. He doesn't have arthritis, so his joints are still in pretty good shape. And as a kid, I remember being rather grossed out by how hairy his fingers were. But now I had the ability to look at his hands as landscapes and testimony of a life lived to its fullest. I saw the beauty in them, a different kind of beauty, and I held his hand. I started seeing hands with my sister in a beach town called Portecillo as she was making herself an omelette. The fall morning light filtering through the window was of a particular warmth and brought out so much detail on her hands. The knife she's using was crafted for her by a local blacksmith. She also became an unsuspecting hand model. Washington, D.C., September 2022. I was there for a birthday weekend with my two daughters who were joining me from Brooklyn. We were going to Rosalia's concert. A whole other story. This image, as Sofia and myself were walking around the Washington Monument using its ground lights to capture her young hands. Veronica Corpus alerted me to the visual appeal of her mother's hands, Loyola. The location chosen for that was her church in Wilkinsburg. Tinted light filtered in through the stained glass windows. Lola wears a lot of jewelry and has extremely expressive hands. She allowed me to get close, hold her hands. She told me some stories. I printed some of the images on oversized 60 by 40 acrylic panels for the airport exhibit. The day Isidora and I were installing them back in June, some TSA agents on a break became very curious and approached us. They seemed surprised by the images, and one of them, a woman in her 60s, looked at Lola's image and said, "Her hands look like mine." She was really happy to see, her hands represented in her workplace. While installing, I was made aware that there seems to be a constant battle between TSA and this side of the display case, as they constantly keep moving their sign in front of it and they shouldn't, right? So I saw an opportunity. And some friends traveling this summer got the joke and kept sending me snapshots. Hands are quite a unique trait of our species: the texture of the skin, the details of the corrugated nature of knuckles, bones showing through the skin, the protruding of pulsating veins, the length of our thumbs in relationship to the fingers, tension, age. There is tenderness in hands. Hands can hold. Hands build, make, cut, draw, slice. Hands can be safe. Parents and caregivers hold children's hands. Hands can protect, push away, preserve boundaries. Hands can speak, dance, make music. They can be curious. We use our hands to communicate who we are. We dress them with color, precious metals and stones, ornaments, ink. We add meaning to our hands beyond their functionality. We put rings on them to remind us we are in love, or marks to remind us we are out of love. We use them to show our beliefs, to pray, to kill, to beg. Some even believe our fortunes are written on them. There is a fundamental truth about holding someone's hand, a vulnerability coupled with trust. That's the essence of it, and that's fundamentally human. It is my curiosity about humans and the human condition that fuels my creative path. Thank you.